Don't stop.
Hi, thanks so much for joining me on the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. I had a really interesting guest that I want to tell you about in a minute. But before I do that, I'll tell you one thing about him before I start. He is a hypnotist. And I never have been hypnotized until I started doing this podcast. And I feel like I talk about Myra Roth so many, like every 5 podcasts, I feel like I mention her because she really changed my way of thinking about things. So just if you haven't heard this episode or heard me talk about her before, if you're just listening to my show for the first time or just started listening, Myra is somebody that she hypnotized me, uh, did it over Zoom. I was laying down with a mask and headphones on, and she hypnotized me and took me back to my past lives, and 2 of them. And she was just really amazing. She just changed my thinking and helped me evolve into thinking about reincarnation differently. And, I knew when we died, we're not going to go to a heaven or a hell. I wasn't quite sure. At one point in my life, I thought you just die and you're dead and you're laying there, or you're cremated and like that's it, like you're done. But people on my show that I've had for the past almost 2 years and the interviews that I've done have made me think differently about what happens when you die. So that's just kind of great growth, I think, for me. I guess none of us really knows what happens until we're going to die one day. But I've had a lot of proof of things that have happened. Myra went into my past life and told me who I was in a couple of past lives. And it feels like it was just like a memory I forgot, and now I remember, and I remember about this. And it was nothing that I thought I'd ever be. She told me I was a farmer in like the 1930s or 40s. That is not at all who I am or who I thought I would have been in my past. Not that I thought I would have been a king or a queen or whatever, but for some reason I always thought it was like a disco, not a disco, like a go-go girl from the 60s. For some reason is always what I thought I was. I don't know. I always felt like I identified as that, like a a girl that was in a club, dancing and had a short skirt on, these high boots, and just a party girl. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe that was another life I had. Um, but going back to my show today, his name is Kevin Stone. He is very well known. He's been doing this for over 30 years. He is called the Hollywood Hypnotist. And it was a lot of back and forth to get our schedules aligned with each other. And I'm so glad that we both kept kind of pursuing this to try to make it happen, because he's been interviewed a million times. He's been on television. He's done hypnotism with major celebrities. A couple that he didn't say it fully, but he kind of like mentioned was George Clooney, Jennifer Aniston, the Prince of Egypt. Like major people in the world. And he is very sought after as a person that, people want to be hypnotized. He told one story about a woman that was very, very wealthy that lived in Connecticut. And you'll hear the full story about how he took away 35 years of a pain in her shoulder after 6 sessions. And this woman sounds like she had unlimited money and resources. She went to doctors and was trying all this medicine. And after he did this 35 years of pain in her shoulder was gone because of his technique. And he has a real gift. The only thing I wish was different about the interview that I did with Kevin is that I, a lot of times, will step back and ask them, do you realize like what you've done for people, or what gift you've given people, or how you've made a change in lives? And have you ever stepped back and kind of reflected about what a good person you are, or what you've brought to this world? And he kind of said no, and he wouldn't do it either. Like, I wanted him to realize how awesome of a person he was. And it's kind of like, he's just like, this is just what I'm meant to do. And this is just what I do. And people, I'm just guiding them, but people are doing it on their own. But what I really want him to realize is that if he wasn't doing it and helping them and guiding them and teaching them this, and these people would still have this trauma or pain or whatever. They'd still be smoking, or they wouldn't have lost weight, because he helps with all those things through hypnotism. And so that's the one thing I wish. And when Kevin, if you're listening to this episode, which I hope you do, I hope you do kind of step back, because I thought you were an awesome and an amazing guy. And you've helped so many people, and I appreciate you as a person so much. You were an amazing guest, and I'm so glad, and I feel honored that I got to interview him. And I hope you enjoy the show with Kevin. If you want to learn more about him, you can go to hypnotist.com. He has got an amazing domain name, hypnotist.com. He got that way back early in the internet days. He's also a Hollywood hypnotist, Kevin Stone, on Instagram. And if you Google world's best hypnotist, he's going to come up. So he is done this. He's been in over 40 countries doing this. He's met with thousands of people, and he's changed a lot of lives for the better. So enjoy the show. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Kevin. If you want to meet with Kevin, he does sessions, he teaches classes. He's going to give an offer. I'll just tell you, the very last thing I'll say is that we had a technical difficulty at the very end of the interview where his computer died or he lost internet connection. And I didn't get to, I had to do the kind of the ending without him, but he is giving an offer. And so if you go to his website, I'll put the offer in the podcast description or the video description. It's only going to be 1 week from the time this airs. So if you want to take advantage of what he's offering, do it within the first week. So thanks for listening, and enjoy my interview with Kevin Stone. Thanks so much for joining me on the Everything and Anything in a Bit Gay podcast. Today, I have an amazing guest. His name is Kevin Stone, and he is known as the Hollywood Hypnotist. So welcome to the show, Kevin.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I have a million questions for you. First, I want to know how somebody gets started being a hypnotist, and then how does somebody become a famous hypnotist?
Great question, because this was not in my focus when I was going through college. And my focus was I wanted to be a news anchor, specifically a sports anchor. And so I got my BA in communications, and I thought I was on my way. And I'm originally from the East Coast. So I was working back in those days. Now I'm an older guy. So the structure was a little bit different, right? So to get into television, especially a major market like Los Angeles, you had to do stepping stones. And I didn't really have an interest in it at the time. I just kind of went in to get more college credit because I was in between jobs. And anytime I'm in between anything, I usually go back to academia because I have a mind, a very curious mind, and I like to learn a lot of different things in life. So I've always had an interest in hypnotism, I would think, like most people, when I was a boy. I used to see the ads in the back of the comic books and thought, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. I'd kind of like to do that, but never really pursued it until I was in between jobs, and I kept getting information about this college in Tarzana. And I was living in the Valley at the time, which wasn't too far away. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get college credit for this, and I'm going to get to learn something that I always wanted to do. Hey, I'm in. I didn't really take it seriously, though. I just wanted the college credit. So I signed up for the program, and that was over 30 years ago. And the rest is pretty much history. So that's how you get into it. And that's one of the only colleges in the world. And now they have it online. All this technology is so different.
Yeah.
So that's one of the best colleges in the world. Yeah.
And how did you get the title Hollywood Hypnotist? How did you get that? That's a big title.
I love your questions, man. Yeah. So that's not a self-proclaimed thing. When I graduated from the school, I actually became an instructor at the school, and I spent about 5 years after the fact becoming an instructor and really immersing myself in the program, helping others to graduate through the program. But at the same time, I had my private practice in the Valley, and the word was getting out about my techniques and the help that I was giving people. And mainly it was happening in the entertainment world, where a lot of the celebrities were coming to me for various things, just like anything else, because we're all the same people. They have issues too. And so the word was getting out. So eventually, was it Access? I think it was Access Hollywood, one of those news television programs.
Extra Access Hollywood. One of
there you go.
Like
Exactly. So they called me up and said they want to do an interview about smoking and some other different type of things.
Yep.
And I went, great. Sign me up. So we went in, and I forget what her name was, but she's the one who basically came up with the Hollywood hypnotist thing. And so it kind of stuck. But back then, when I was passing along through the family, my colleagues and everything, they thought it was kind of hokey. It's just not.
I like
I,
it. I don't think it is at all.
I agree with you. And so that's why I kept it. And it kind of caught because, look, nobody remembers your name specifically, right? It's always
exactly.
the hypnotist guy or that hypnotist or this. So in my business, this is how it works. So the Hollywood hypnotist thing was really catching fire, and they didn't really remember by Kevin Stone, the rest of it, but they got the Hollywood hypnotist. So I left it, and the rest is history. And so that's kind of where it's at now. And I guarantee you, even after this interview, people are going to not look up my name, Kevin Stone. They're going to look up the Hollywood hypnotist.
Hollywood hypnotist. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we would have reached out to each other and you would have said, "I'm Kevin Stone," can we? I would have been like, "Yeah, okay, maybe we can interview you." But you said the Hollywood hypnotist, and I'm like, "Yes, come on my show, please."
Exactly. Yeah. Now there's another Dr. Kevin Stone up in Washington. He is a world-renowned surgeon where he deals with pain. So my office gets in his office, and we've had many conversations. So people are looking for Kevin Stone. When they look for Kevin Stone, they get it confused. So he refers them to me. I refer him up to him.
So was the Access Hollywood or Extra TV or whatever it was that your first kind of where you were more known and kind of pushed into the public eye?
No, there was a lot. The community had already, I had already known about my technique. So this was way before about what was happening, because my practice was thriving because of that. Sports figures started to come and see me. Like any other community, people think it's vast, but it isn't. It's very small, and the word gets out very quickly. So no, I was pretty much well known up to that point. I think the media finally was like, this is a good interest story, kind of like probably why you and I have connected, because you just said it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kevin Stone, why don't I talk to that guy? I want to talk to the Hollywood hypnotist guy, right?
Yeah.
So I think the media really caught on, and they do periodically. Again, it comes in waves where hypnosis is in the media or in movies and television, then it kind of goes away a little bit, then it comes back. So it's like everything else, it comes and goes. It's an ebb and flow. So they started calling, and then that's how the rest of it happened.
Who was like, what's some of the things that you've helped some of the celebrities with that you've worked with? Like what's one of the biggest things that you're proud of?
I'm proud of everything, of it all, because I'm still in awe that I'm actually still blessed to be doing this and doing the work that I do, because that's my passion. My passion is helping people to help themselves. And it's not me. I don't have any special powers as a hypnotist. None of that happens like you see on TV or in the movies. But I do have abilities, and I have techniques that I've developed over the years that allow people to take an issue, let's say smoking, weight. These are the common ones, right?
Yeah.
The common ones of when most people they think about a hypnotist is smoking, weight, and that's basically how I started too, the foundational stuff. But now, basically, hypnosis, you can apply that to anything you think about. So whatever it is you want to make those changes with, hypnosis is that application.
What about sleep issues? You can't go to sleep.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Insomnia.
Yeah.
Apnea. Absolutely. 100%. Now you have specialists too. You have I specialized in pain management. I was on staff at White's Memorial Hospital for TMJ and pain management issues. So there's specialties as well. But my techniques is like a blanket. And I tell people when they call, because they have the same questions you're asking, what is it I can do with these applications? With me, I don't know about any other hypnotists or hypnotherapists, but with me, I pretty much take just about everything on because the techniques that I've developed are applicable to that. So whatever you think about, it could be as simple as biting your nails, right? And that's my own personal story too. I was a nail biter.
Yeah.
And if we get time, we'll get into that. But yeah, generally, whatever you think about you want to change, This is the actual tool, the natural organic tool to help you to achieve that goal.
Let me tell you, I got hypnotized for the first time
Oh,
5 months ago. There was a woman that wanted to be on my podcast, and she could hypnotize people, and she can bring them through past life regression and show you
right,
what your past life was.
right.
And I said, "Yeah, I love stuff like that. Like, let's try it."
Yeah,
And I do. I went in with an open mind. I didn't think that she was full of shit or anything. Like, I thought, let's see what happens.
yeah,
And she did it, and she brought me back to two of my past lives. And now it's almost like she didn't plant it in my head. It's almost like she just brought the memories up, and it's just something that I now remember. And it's past lives I never would have thought I would have been. Like, it would have been my past life. It's so bizarre. So
right.
and that's what her whole career is now, where she's bringing people through past life regressions and stuff. And I love it that she's doing that, and she's amazing at it.
Now, did you get hypnotized through Zoom, or how did
Through
she
Zoom.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the power of technology now. And that's how I do all my sessions. There's really no office visits any longer because there's no need for it. And actually, I have found that through Zoom or a phone call, that it works better because there's no stress and anxiety of getting to the office, being on time. You're doing it at the comfort of your own home. And so past lives. So when you did your past lives, what happened? What memories
Basically,
manifested?
yeah. So she says, "Tell me what you're seeing," and before I went, she goes, "You got to just like go with it. If you got to just tell me what you're seeing, and don't try to make it up in your head." And I feel like I couldn't have made it up in my head really, because it felt like it was it felt like it really happened.
Yeah.
So I lay down on my bed. I have a blindfold on. I have a headphones on, listening to her. She's recording me on Zoom, like, because she gave me the audio and video file afterwards, and she basically says, "Tell me what you're seeing." And I said, "Oh, I'm seeing myself standing in a field."
Yeah.
And she goes, "What else are you seeing?" I'm like, "I think I'm looking at my house." And I was basically a farmer in the 40s in Kansas. I had a wife and two kids, two boys. Me and my wife died. I died laying in bed. And then one of my boys was actually somebody that's in my life today. Not that, and it was the whole thing. It was like, I remember. I don't want to say I have all these memories of that past life, but I remember that now, and I know it was true because it doesn't feel like a memory now. It feels like a memory. It doesn't feel like a story I just made up. It just
Right.
she's so good at her job.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Now, there's a famous guy named Brian Weiss, and he has a book, Many Masters, Many Lives. And he was kind of the foundational guy when it came to applying hypnosis through achieving past lives, right?
mhm.
And so that whole book is basically a therapy session with this woman who's very similar. Now, with your sessions, are you experiencing healing, or what was the results for you?
No, the results were I just wanted to have her on, and then we did a podcast and talked about it afterwards.
Okay.
So there was no, like, I didn't have any. I mean, if I would have known that she could have said, "Oh yeah, I can help you with your sleep issues," then I probably would have talked to her about that.
Oh,
But this was
definitely.
just more for her to tell me about my past lives and stuff, and that's what she was doing.
Okay.
And she took me
So,
through, I think, 2 or 3 past lives, and
okay.
it was like an hour and a half session that she did with me.
So just curiosity, just to explore past life.
Yeah,
No,
just
no
because
therapeutic value.
no therapeutic. I just, I'm always curious about, I have mediums on my show and psychics and people that talk about reincarnation and stuff. And so, doing this podcast, I've interviewed, over 150 people, I guess, at this point. I really think about things differently now. And just about life and death and what happens and all this. I mean, I always had some kind of idea in my head, but now I have like a more it's completely different after interviewing people like her.
Right. You're more grounded now with, I don't know, it kind of fits into a holistic or spiritual
Yes.
realm, and understanding that a little bit better about what's really out there. And again, see, your mind is like my mind. That's why I went back to school and started learning this, because it wasn't really in my wheelhouse. It wasn't even something I remotely thought I would become and do for a living. But when you find
Yeah.
your gifts, right? Like what you're doing now, Zach, I'm assuming this is your passion, this is your gift, right? And so you want to continue to allow this to grow and become whatever it's going to become, what your visions are, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what past lives can do as well, because it become very therapeutic. So I'll tell you a story very quick, because now you've set up really for the listeners how, because a lot of people don't understand past lives either. They think it's, supernatural and all these things that you
Yeah.
see in movies and TV. It's just not. And it can become very therapeutic for the work that the one is doing. So I'm assuming that this woman that you got hypnotized by to do a past life, I'm assuming she's doing therapeutic work as well, not just doing past lives.
Yeah, I think she is for people. I think people have had some type of trauma in their life, and she's probably trying to help them in some ways.
Yeah. And so my story really quick with the past life. And again, so let me preface it with this, because again, my mind is very analytical and very scientific. So if I don't have the scientific evidence in front of me, my mind can't wrap itself around it. So that's why even when I was getting into hypnosis, I had a hard time understanding how this natural organic thing works, because it's not me doing it. It's you, everyone, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So you're doing it to yourself, really.
Yeah.
The hypnotist or the woman doing past life, she's the guide. She's the facilitator taking you to where you're going. Furthermore, I'm from New England. So I come from a very conservative upbringing where this stuff was taboo, non-existent.
Yeah.
And so that stigma still is in the world today. Even who I've become, the stigma is still there that, again, they think I can walk into a bank and hypnotize the tellers and walk out with money. And I go, well, listen to me. If I could do that, I don't need to do anything else for a living, right?
Yeah,
I don't even need to
exactly.
be on this podcast. I just you're wasting my time to go to the bank today. So that's the background I came from. And even when I was going to school for this, it was not encouraged at all. So until I became who I became, and then my techniques became, global. And of course, everything starts to change at that point.
Yeah.
But to me, the foundation is still the same. You have to understand. You have to have an educational understanding of what it is. Don't judge it. Take it for yourself. Now, what others are saying about that, and really try to understand for what it is. And that's what you did, Zach, where you just allowed and now you have a whole different outlook, and it's helping you to deal with your personal life and issues to grow, right?
I mean, I've become so open-minded about so many things, and before I would have thought this person's crazy, like they can't do this, or I don't know, like if this person's trying to tell me that my father is here talking to me and he's been dead for 15 years, like that's impossible.
Right.
I have an open mind for everything now, and so
That's it.
I don't think anybody's. There are some scammers out there, and there are some people that are full of shit, but I kind of vet the people and do research on them before I have them on my show. And I've only got fooled one time, and I've always have excellent guests. And people just have to have an open mind. And people, whenever I post the content, especially on YouTube, I get so many responses, and people send me DMs on Instagram, and they're just like, they want to know more, and they want to have the guest back on, and they want to, they have more questions for people. So I feel like I'm just kind of sharing like what I like with other people, and they're getting it too. So.
Right. Excellent. I love that. I love your thinking.